We tend to think of intimacy as, well, a physical act. But what if it's actually one of the most complex psychological events a man can ever go through? In this explainer, we're going to dive deep into what's really happening in a man's mind using the incredible lens of Jungian psychology.
Carl Jung had this powerful idea that the things that really drive us are operating just beneath the surface and are unconscious. And his words here, they're absolutely key. Until we bring that hidden stuff into the light, it's going to run the show. This is so true when it comes to the puzzles of modern intimacy, where the real answers are almost always buried deep in the mind.
So this is the big question, right? It's a classic story. You have this moment of incredible connection, and then it's followed by behavior that feels like a total disconnect. Silence. Distance. We're going to unpack the hidden reasons why that happens. To really get this, we've got to start with layer one, this fundamental battle that's happening inside a man's psyche between what Jung called his persona and his shadow.
Okay, so the persona, think of it as his public face. It's the mask of strength, of confidence, of being the man. During intimacy, this is the part of him that feels powerful, chosen, and totally affirmed in his masculinity. It's the idealized version of himself he thinks he's supposed to be.
But underneath that mask, you've got the shadow. This is where all the secret fears, the doubts, the insecurities, this is where they all live. And intimacy, maybe more than anything else, shines a massive spotlight on the biggest fear lurking in the male shadow, the terrifying thought of not being enough. And this is where it all comes to a head. Intimacy is the one arena where these two polar opposites are forced to collide. You've got the confident lover and the scared, trembling child suddenly occupying the exact same space at the exact same time. It's intense.
So in that moment of union, his persona is just soaring. He feels this primal, almost ancient surge of male power. He's been accepted, he's been chosen. In a very deep way, his worth feels totally validated.
But then, almost in the same breath, the shadow creeps in. And this isn't some small doubt, it's a huge, unspoken vulnerability. The very thing that made him feel so powerful also makes him incredibly fragile, exposing that core fear of being rejected.
So let's dig into our second layer, because this is where things get really fascinating. This isn't just a mind game. We're talking about powerful forces of bonding, both chemical and something much deeper.
For a lot of men, the act itself becomes this massive, unconscious test of his worth. A partner's response, their breathing, their touch, the look in their eyes, it all becomes a mirror, reflecting back the answer to that silent question he's always asking, am I enough?
And here's where Jung's ideas just blow my mind. He suggested that every man has this unconscious feminine side he called the anima. Intimacy wakes it right up. Suddenly, his partner isn't just a person, she becomes a symbol of his own soul, triggering this deep, powerful longing to finally feel whole.
This slide really breaks down how that bond gets locked in so tight. First, you have the union. Then, bam, the brain floods with oxytocin and dopamine, these incredibly powerful bonding chemicals. This creates an unconscious imprinting. It's like a brand on his soul. And the result? This deep biological pull to come back.
And all of that leads us right to layer 3. The incredible, intense, internal battle that this whole process kicks off. It's a fight between a love he never saw coming and a fear that's been there all along.
I mean, listen to this quote from a man in therapy. It just nails it perfectly. He thought he could keep his distance, stay detached, but the experience itself just bypassed all his defenses. You see, intimacy is a psychic gateway, and it really doesn't ask for permission before it opens.
So you can just imagine this massive internal tug of war, right? On one end of the rope, you have all these fears of not being good enough, of being forgotten, of just being another guy. And on the other end, this huge unexpected wave of connection, of love, stirred up by his anima. This conflict is why his behavior can seem so contradictory.
And this right here is so important to understand. When a man pulls away after being close, it's very rarely a sign that he feels nothing. It's usually a sign that he feels everything. It's not emptiness. It is pure disorienting overwhelm, and he pulls back just to try and get his bearings.
All right, our fourth and final layer brings this all home. For the modern man, intimacy has become this crucial mirror, one that reflects his entire sense of who he is.
Think about it. In the past, intimacy might have been about other things, but today, it is deeply, deeply tied to a man's identity. The experience, and especially what happens right after, is either going to build him up
or tear him down. There's really no middle ground anymore.
And look how incredibly simple the healing part can be. We're not talking about grand, complicated gestures. It's a soft hug, a quiet thank you, just staying close, a simple touch. Each one of these is a powerful message that says, hey, I see you, the real you, and you're safe here.
This is where you realize just how much power a partner holds in these moments. Your warmth can literally be the thing that helps him integrate that vulnerable part of himself into a stronger whole. But indifference? Well, that can feel like a deep cut, confirming his shadow's worst fears and fracturing his confidence.
So at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to, isn't it? Intimacy is so much more than an act. It's a revelation. It's the mirror where a man confronts his power, his terror, his deep need for validation, and his capacity for a love he never, ever expected. It's where two people get a chance to see each other's truth.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If you know that this moment holds up a mirror to the most vulnerable parts of his soul, what kind of reflection do you want to help create? Because your presence has the power to shape that truth.